this is Shanoa Parr, and welcome to Harnessing the Power of PR. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? We're going to talk about what is PR, why it's great for business. I'm going to explain a little bit about who I am and where do you start, also what journalists are looking for, and how is COVID impacting PR, and we're going to finish with some examples, stories of some client successes. So, what is PR? Well, PR just stands for public relations, and it's all about building relationships with your customers. And there are many different elements to PR. It can include customer engagement, it can include social media, market research, surveys, etc. But today I will be focusing on one piece of that jigsaw, and that is press coverage. And when I talk about press coverage and media coverage, I'm talking about appearing in your local, regional, or national newspapers, glossy magazines, trade magazines, radio, podcast, guest blogging, or TV. And I'm speaking about both printed as well as online versions of all of those. Why is it great for business? Well, with PR, you get third-party credibility because a journalist or a reporter or an interviewer is taking the time to talk about your business. So that is that third-party credibility, and it gives you more bang for your buck. And if you didn't know it already, it's free. It just costs your time. But I promise it's far more effective for positioning you, particularly if you're looking to position yourself as an expert. It's far more effective than advertising. And what we used to do when I worked in corporate was we would take the cost of how much it would cost to advertise in a particular publication, and we'd multiply it times 3 in terms of the value. But actually, it's much more valuable than that, and it can help you attract new clients, build credibility, and help more people to discover you. And it's really good as positioning you as the expert. So if you are ready to get yourself out there, you're done playing small, you want to look bigger, which PR is fabulous at making look really big, especially if you're kind of small. If you want to make a greater impact with your business and reach a wider audience, and if you are looking to set yourself apart and ahead of your competition, PR is fantastic for all of that. So who am I? Who is this voice speaking? That's me there. I'm Shanoa Parr, and I am a PR and media relations coach, consultant, strategist. I've got a few different job titles, and I've spent over 25 years working in PR and marketing in the corporate world. I've worked across many sectors, including housing, social housing, property. They're all listed there. You name it, I've been there. And about 3 years ago, I started my own business. So you may have noticed a little bit of an accent, and well, a very little now. I'm originally from Louisiana, but I came to Liverpool December '93. So yeah, a long time ago. I fell in love with PR when I was at university because my mom's animal charity, she needed a bit of help getting the message out there. They needed more donations, more people to support them, to help in many different ways. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to contact the local paper, radio, and TV. And they were inundated with requests for interviews, to come down to their open days, to cover anything that they were doing. And it was that moment that I realized how powerful PR can be. I am now sharing that knowledge and that expertise over the years to help entrepreneurs, to help business owners to skyrocket their reputation, to attract high-profile media coverage so that they can build their audience and attract more followers, more customers, and more sales ultimately. There is just a small selection of some of the places where I've got my clients in: the Times, ITV. There's hundreds more than that, but I wouldn't be able to fit it there. And there's me with my husband and my little girl. So, sounds interesting, you're probably thinking. Where do I start when it comes to PR? Well, I talk about my 5 steps to press success. And first and foremost, you have to do a little bit of planning and do a little bit of homework here. And this is all about defining your topic. You know, if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, or if you're a service-based business, what is it? What is your topic that you can talk about? Also, why do you want the coverage? What's your goal in getting this? Are you looking to attract more customers? Are you looking to sell courses? You know, what is it? Define that goal, because depending on what you want to achieve will depend on the different media that you will ultimately achieve. Sorry, cheese. Getting tongue-tied. It will ultimately lead to what you want to choose to be in. You also need to understand who your ideal client is. You know, what do they look like? Are they females? Are they mums? Are they fathers? What do they look like? Because that will also tell you what sort of media they consume, what they read, what they watch, and what they listen to. So that's a little bit of work up front. The next step is defining what your story is, and that could simply be what the story is in terms of your business. How did you develop your business? It's often not about the products and services. This is where a lot of people mistake PR as a place to sell. Journalists aren't interested in you selling your product. They want to know your story. The third step is to prepare your media list, to build your list, to go out and do a bit of research, and to start connecting with those journalists so you're not potentially going in there cold, so that they know a little bit about you as well. The fourth step is where you start to go and outreach to the media. You craft your pitch, and that's just a fancy way of saying drafting an email, because these days it's all about emails. When I started out many moons ago, it was all about faxing. That's really showing my age. Faxing over a press release and then picking up the phone to see if they received the fax. Now everything is done on email. And then your final step is, once you have appeared and you've been successful in the media, then you want to leverage and you want to maximize that media coverage. You want to make sure it's not just a one-off. You want to squeeze the juice out of that and make sure you boost that coverage as much as possible. And I normally take my clients through a checklist. So what are journalists looking for? They're all pretty much the same, no matter what area they work in or what subject they work on. They are focused 100% on great stories for their audience. They want something that's timely, something relevant, compelling, and you don't want to sell. That's the biggest mistake, is when I see press releases that are written to sell a product. No, what is the story? You've got to uncover that story. And a journalist will very quickly take you through, if they see your story or press release, they will think very quickly, so what? So it's got to pass the so what test. And that includes, is it new, first of its kind? Would anyone other than your friends or your family find it of interest? Because your friends and family are often going to go, yeah, that's really interesting, when in fact it might be quite boring. Is there anything unusual or extraordinary about your story? And my final one, and my favorite, would it pass the pub test? In other words, you're at the pub with your friends. Would one of your friends say, you know what, did you hear about blah blah story, this story? Would it be enough for them to bring up in conversation? If you said no to any of that, then you probably need to go back to the drawing board. Yeah, that's it, drawing board, and try and have another little think about what would make the story newsworthy. And at the moment, it's important to understand that COVID and the coronavirus has had an impact on PR, but the one thing that is still true is journalists still want strong stories. They're looking for human interest stories. They're looking of stories of overcoming adversity. So look for that story within your press release or pitch. And also be sure and look at, the world has changed and will continue to change. So you need to check the temperature in terms of looking at your stories through the lens of the pandemic. For example, I'm working with a dating coach at the moment, and they are selling a course, and the stories that we're pitching to the press at the moment is we're just about to move into post-lockdown. So the stories are all around how to find love post-lockdown, how to recharge your love life, how to start again, coming out of exiting a lockdown. So frame your story in the lens of what's going on at the moment. Just some client successes here. This is Lisa Buck, who had a fantastic story. She found a baby piglet that was destined for for not very nice things. And she took that piglet in, and the story went viral. So I helped that story go pretty much everywhere. Lad Bible, it was all over the world. It went in Australian papers, New Zealand papers. It was in all the nationals here in the UK, and that helped to get Lisa's story out there about a plant-based diet. So, rather than talking about veganism, it was about this nice little story with Peggy the piglet. And here's another very recent success is Vicky, who is a makeup artist, and I had a contact who was looking for makeup tips for this being the mask and the coronavirus being the end of lipstick. So Vicky provided a load of tips and advice, which was pretty much used word for word, as well as some pictures that she provided, which was it was a huge success for Vicky. And that article also linked off to her Instagram, which will help to build her traffic. And another client here, this is Allison, who is an astrologer, and she, off the back of a couple of articles, she also has a weekly horoscope on one of the online publications called Female First. So she's a regular contributor to that. And this is also a great client that I used to work with, GasTag, who provide gas safety. And you've really got to sometimes look. They provide fantastic, exciting technology, which is all about saving lives. But, sometimes it's some of the stories that we're presented with, it's you think, oh, that could be a bit boring. But there's a story in everything. And I had great success with these clients. That's a full-page feature in the Times that we secured working together. And off the back of that, they received a multi-million-pound private equity investment. So PR, you can see, can be very, very, very powerful. Okay, so if you've got any questions, please let me know. My email address is hello@shanoapar.com. I'm always happy to answer any questions. Just let me know, and I hope you found that of use. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching. Bye.